The grand amphitheater on Lumina Prime shimmered like a jewel under the twin suns of its star system. Its translucent walls pulsed faintly with light, reflecting the colors of the galaxy's most powerful species gathered within. The air buzzed with anticipation as representatives from hundreds of civilizations waited for the Galactic Council to deliver their verdict about humanity, a species that had only recently clawed its way into interstellar society. At the center of it all stood Kale, a young human delegate chosen not for his age, but for his sharp mind and unshakable calm. He was flanked by two older diplomats from Earth, both visibly nervous. Their faces were tense as they listened to the Council's deliberations broadcast through holographic translators floating above them. Humanity's fate hung in the balance, and Kel could feel the weight pressing down on his shoulders. For weeks, the Council had debated humanity's worthiness to join the galactic community. They admired Earth's rapid technological advancements, space travel achieved in mere centuries compared to millennia for others, but questioned everything else. Humans were emotional, unpredictable, and prone to conflict. Their history was stained with wars, environmental destruction, and inequality. Many council members argued that humanity wasn't ready to take its place among the stars. Others claimed humans might destabilize the delicate peace maintained across galaxies. Finally, the head of the council, Chancellor Zorith, rose from his crystalline throne. His elongated figure towered over the assembly, his metallic skin gleaming under the pulsating lights. With a voice that resonated like thunder, he declared, "After careful consideration, the Galactic Council has reached a unanimous decision. Humanity is deemed inferior." A collective gasp rippled through the chamber. Some species sneered openly at the human delegation, while others exchanged smug glances. A few sympathetic faces glanced toward Kale, but even they seemed reluctant to challenge the ruling. Back on Earth, billions would soon hear this judgment, and Kale knew it would crush spirits. But he didn't let his expression falter. Instead, he locked eyes with Chancellor Zorith, his gaze steady and defiant. As the Council celebrated their verdict, patting themselves on the back for preserving galactic order, Kale leaned closer to one of the hovering translators. In a low tone, almost too quiet to hear, he whispered into his communicator, "Initiate Protocol Dawn." No one noticed, not the Council, not the other delegates. Only Kale's fellow Earth representatives gave him a quick glance before nodding silently. What no one in the room realized was that during the long days of debate, Kale had planted microscopic nanites in the Council's infrastructure. These tiny machines, developed secretly by Earth's top scientists, were designed to infiltrate alien systems without detection. Already, they were beginning to subtly alter key functions, creating glitches and anomalies that would sow doubt about humanity's supposed inferiority. As the Council dismissed the session, Kale turned to leave, his steps deliberate and measured. Outside the amphitheater, he paused briefly, looking up at the swirling nebula visible through the dome. A small smile played on his lips. "Let's show them what we're really made of," he muttered softly, his words lost in the hum of Lumina Prime's radiant cityscape. Little did the Council know, their declaration wasn't the end. It was just the beginning. Back on Earth, the Council's verdict hit like a meteor storm. News of humanity's labeling as inferior spread across every corner of the planet within hours. Social media erupted with outrage, news channels buzzed nonstop, and protests filled the streets of major cities. People held up signs reading, "We are not inferior," and "Prove them wrong." The anger was palpable, but amidst the chaos, something unexpected began to take shape, a spark of unity. In hidden bunkers beneath the ruins of old military bases, a group known as the Ascendants gathered. They weren't soldiers or politicians. They were scientists, engineers, hackers, and visionaries. Led by Kull, who had returned from Lumina Prime with fire in his heart, this underground movement aimed to turn humiliation into opportunity. Kale stood at the head of a dimly lit table, projecting holograms of Earth's continents onto the wall. "We've been underestimated," Kale said, his voice calm but firm. They think we're too emotional, too chaotic, too divided. Let's prove them wrong, not with violence, but with ingenuity. One of the team members, Dr. Elena Marquez, nodded eagerly. She tapped a console, bringing up schematics of the nanites Cal had planted during the council meeting. These microscopic machines were already hard at work, infiltrating alien systems across the galaxy. Designed to adapt and evolve, the nanites subtly altered data streams, caused minor malfunctions, and sowed confusion among the Council's advanced technology. They'll notice eventually, Elena warned, her dark eyes scanning the room. But by then, it'll be too late. Cadel smiled faintly. Exactly. We don't need to destroy their systems. We just need to make them question what they thought they knew about us. As days turned into weeks, strange reports began filtering back to the Galactic Council. On the aquatic homeworld of the Nereids, underwater communication arrays glitched without explanation. On the desert planet of Therath, energy grids flickered unpredictably. Even Chancellor Zoreth's crystalline palace experienced unexplained power surges. At first, these incidents seemed random, but patterns soon emerged. Each affected system had one thing in common. They'd all interacted directly with humanity during recent diplomatic exchanges. Ambassador Vera of the Nereids watched the growing list of anomalies with growing unease. Unlike many of her peers, she hadn't fully supported the Council's harsh judgment against humans. Now, as evidence mounted, she couldn't ignore the possibility that humanity might be more capable and dangerous than anyone had anticipated. Meanwhile, back on Earth, the Ascendants worked tirelessly to amplify human achievements. Colonies on Mars received upgraded life support systems powered by experimental fusion reactors. Orbital stations around Europa began mining rare minerals faster than predicted, thanks to AI-driven robotics developed in secret labs. Every success was broadcast across the galaxy, showcasing humanity's resilience and innovation. Public opinion shifted rapidly. What started as anger morphed into determination. Nations that had once competed fiercely now collaborated openly, pooling resources to tackle challenges once deemed impossible. In Africa, solar farms expanded exponentially, providing clean energy to millions. In Asia, quantum computing breakthroughs revolutionized medicine. Humanity wasn't just surviving, it was thriving. On Lumina Prime, whispers of dissent rippled through the council chambers. Some members dismissed the glitches as coincidences, while others grew increasingly paranoid. Chancellor Zoreth called an emergency session, demanding answers. But as he scanned the latest reports, his glowing eyes narrowed. Something about humanity's sudden surge in progress felt deliberate. Little did the council know, the real battle had only just begun. And while they scrambled to understand what was happening, Kale and the Ascendants prepared for the next phase of their plan. A demonstration so bold it would leave the galaxy speechless. As humanity continued to rise above the Council's verdict, their actions spoke louder than words. The Galactic Council had dismissed Earth as divided and chaotic, but what they failed to understand was that challenges often brought out the best in humans. Across the planet, people banded together like never before, proving that unity wasn't just a dream, it was a necessity. On Mars, where colonies once struggled with limited resources, engineers devised innovative solutions using recycled materials from old spacecraft. Entire habitats were rebuilt within weeks, powered by fusion reactors small enough to fit inside a shipping container. These reactors, developed in secret labs on Earth, became symbols of human ingenuity. News of their success reached other species, sparking curiosity and concern among the council members who had underestimated humanity's ability to adapt. Meanwhile, Europa's icy moon saw a similar transformation. Mining operations there had been slow and inefficient until the Ascendants introduced swarm robotics. Tiny drones worked together like ants, carving tunnels through ice sheets and extracting valuable minerals at unprecedented speeds. The harvested resources weren't hoarded. Instead, they were shared freely among struggling colonies across the solar system. Humanity's generosity surprised even its harshest critics, forcing them to reconsider their assumptions about greed and selfishness. Back on Earth, nations set aside centuries-old rivalries to collaborate on projects once deemed impossible. In the Sahara Desert, massive solar farms stretched for miles, harnessing sunlight to power entire continents. Countries pooled their knowledge to develop advanced desalination plants, turning seawater into fresh water for drought-stricken regions. For the first time in history, humanity seemed united, not by force, but by choice. Cale watched these developments unfold from his command center beneath the Nevada desert. Holographic displays showed real-time updates from every corner of the globe, each one a testament to humanity's resilience. He turned to Elena, who sat nearby analyzing data streams from the nanites infiltrating alien systems. "They're starting to see us differently," she said, her voice tinged with pride. "Every breakthrough makes them doubt their own judgment." But the Council wasn't ready to admit defeat. Chancellor Zoreth called another emergency meeting, visibly frustrated by the growing list of anomalies plaguing their infrastructure. Some councillors argued that humanity must be behind the disruptions, while others insisted it was mere coincidence. Ambassador Vera, however, remained silent, her thoughts swirling like the ocean currents of her homeworld. She couldn't shake the feeling that humanity's potential far exceeded what anyone had imagined. To test this theory, she requested access to classified archives detailing Earth's recent advancements. What she found astonished her. Humanity hadn't just solved problems, they'd solved them creatively, finding solutions no other species had considered. From quantum computing breakthroughs to sustainable agriculture techniques, Earth's innovations were nothing short of revolutionary. Vera decided to take a risk. Late one evening, she contacted Cale through an encrypted channel, bypassing official protocols. Her holographic image flickered into view in his bunker, her expression cautious but curious. "I need to know," she began, "how you managed to accomplish so much in such a short time." Cale leaned back in his chair, studying her face. "It's simple," he replied. "We thrive under pressure. When we're told we can't do something, we find a way to prove otherwise. That's who we are." Vera nodded slowly, her scales shimmering faintly in the dim light. "Perhaps the Council made a mistake," she admitted quietly. "Perhaps humanity isn't inferior after all." As the conversation ended, Cale allowed himself a small smile. The Council's doubts were growing, and with each passing day, humanity proved itself stronger, smarter, and more capable than anyone expected. The stage was set for the next phase of their plan, a bold move that would leave the galaxy questioning everything they thought they knew about Earth. The Galactic Council's patience was wearing thin. Reports of unexplained malfunctions and anomalies continued to pile up, and whispers of humanity's involvement grew louder. Chancellor Zoreth, determined to assert the Council's authority, decided it was time to send a clear message to Earth. If humanity wanted to prove itself, they would have to face a challenge, one designed to expose their weaknesses once and for all. Without warning, a fleet of sleek, silver drones descended upon Earth's solar system. These weren't warships but blockades, massive constructs equipped with energy shields that could disrupt communications and cut off supply routes. The drones positioned themselves around key points in space, effectively trapping humanity within its own territory. News of the blockade spread quickly, sending shockwaves through Earth's population. Many feared the worst, but Cale saw an opportunity. "We've been waiting for this," he said during an emergency meeting with the Ascendants. Around the table, faces were tense but focused. Holographic projections displayed the positions of the drones, their glowing hulls marking them as impenetrable obstacles. "They think we'll panic or retaliate. Instead, we'll show them what makes us different." Cale outlined his plan. Using swarm robotics similar to those deployed on Europa, they would deploy thousands of tiny countermeasures disguised as harmless debris. Each drone would be programmed to latch onto the blockade ships, disabling their systems without causing permanent damage. It was risky. Any misstep could escalate tensions, But Kale believed subtlety was key. Humanity needed to demonstrate not just strength, but restraint. Within hours, Earth launched its response. Swarms of miniature robots poured out from hidden bases, drifting silently toward the blockade. To observers, they appeared like fragments of asteroids, harmless and insignificant. But as they reached the drones, the tiny machines sprang into action. They attached themselves to the blockade ship's exteriors, releasing nanites that infiltrated the alien technology. Within minutes, the drone shields flickered and failed, leaving them powerless. When the Council received news of the blockade's collapse, chaos erupted in the Council chambers. Some members accused humanity of aggression, while others argued that Earth had acted defensively. Chancellor Zoreth slammed his fist against his crystalline throne, demanding answers. How did they neutralize our drones? He roared. This should have been impossible. Ambassador Vera stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. Perhaps it's time we reconsider our assumptions about humanity, she suggested. Her words silenced the room, drawing curious and suspicious glances from her peers. Back on Earth, celebrations broke out as news of the victory spread. People cheered in the streets, hailing the ascendants as heroes. But Kale remained composed. When reporters asked him to comment, he simply said, "We didn't fire a single shot. We solved the problem peacefully, proving that humanity isn't defined by destruction." His statement resonated across the galaxy. Even species who had initially dismissed humans began to take notice. How had such a supposedly inferior race dismantled a council blockade without resorting to violence? The question lingered in the minds of many, including Ambassador Vera, who found herself increasingly drawn to Kale's vision of cooperation over conflict. As the council scrambled to respond, Kale gathered his team in the bunker. This was just the beginning, he told them, his eyes gleaming with determination. They'll come at us again, harder this time. But every challenge is another chance to prove them wrong. And so, humanity prepared for the next test, knowing that each victory brought them closer to earning the respect they deserved, not through domination, but through ingenuity and resolve. The blockade incident left the Galactic Council shaken. Humanity's ability to dismantle their advanced technology without firing a single shot had sent ripples of doubt through even the most stubborn skeptics. Chancellor Zoreth, visibly irritated, demanded answers, but none were forthcoming. The Council's systems continued to malfunction, and whispers of humanity's hidden capabilities grew louder. It was clear that Earth wasn't as powerless as they'd assumed. Ambassador Vera found herself at a crossroads. As an aquatic being from the Neurite species, she prided herself on her logical approach to diplomacy. Yet something about humanity intrigued her, their creativity, resilience, and unwavering determination. She couldn't ignore the possibility that the Council's judgment had been premature. Determined to uncover the truth, she reached out to Kale once again, this time requesting a private meeting. The rendezvous took place aboard a neutral space station orbiting the gas giant Tethys 7. Vera arrived first, her shimmering form gliding gracefully through the zero-gravity environment. When Kale entered the chamber, his presence was calm but commanding. He wore a simple gray jumpsuit, unadorned by insignias or titles, yet he carried himself with quiet authority. "You've caused quite a stir," Vera began, her melodic voice echoing softly in the room. "The Council is divided. Some fear you, others admire you. But no one understands how you've achieved what you have." Kale crossed his arms, studying her carefully. "What do you want to know?" he asked, his tone measured. Vera hesitated before speaking. "I've accessed classified archives detailing your recent advancements. Your nanites, they're remarkable. They've infiltrated our systems without detection, sowing chaos while avoiding destruction. That's not brute force, it's precision. How did you develop such technology so quickly?" Kale allowed himself a faint smile. "Humans are resourceful," he replied. "When we face challenges, we adapt. Our scientists worked around the clock after the Council's verdict. We knew proving ourselves wouldn't be easy, so we prepared for every scenario. Vera nodded slowly, her gills fluttering as she processed his words. And the blockade? Was that also planned? Not entirely, Kale admitted, but we anticipated something like it. Humans don't wait for problems to overwhelm us. We solve them before they escalate. The swarm robotics were originally designed for mining operations, but we adapted them for defense. Peaceful solutions are always our priority. Vera studied him intently, her glowing eyes reflecting admiration. You're unlike any species I've encountered, she said finally. Most would have retaliated violently after being labeled inferior. Instead, you turned humiliation into opportunity. Kale leaned forward slightly. We're not perfect, he said, but labeling us as inferior doesn't make us enemies. It makes us misunderstood. If the Council truly wants peace, they need to listen instead of judge. Their conversation deepened as Vera shared classified information about the Council's reliance on ancient AI systems to maintain order, a system now compromised by Earth's nanites. Together, they devised a plan. Vera would advocate for humanity within the Council, urging reform, while Kel would continue demonstrating Earth's potential through peaceful actions. As the meeting ended, Vera extended a webbed hand toward Kel. I believe in your vision, she said. Let's change the galaxy together. Kale shook her hand firmly, feeling a renewed sense of purpose. With Vera as an ally, humanity stood a better chance of reshaping its reputation. But the road ahead remained uncertain. Every step forward brought new challenges and new opportunities to prove that humanity belonged among the stars. With tensions between humanity and the Galactic Council still simmering, Kale proposed a bold idea: invite delegations from various alien species to visit Earth. It wasn't just about showcasing technological advancements. It was about sharing humanity's culture, creativity, and spirit. The goal was simple yet profound: to challenge stereotypes and build bridges where walls had stood for centuries. At first, many council members dismissed the proposal as naive. What could primitive humans possibly offer us? Scoffed Ambassador Trelk of the insectoid Cytherians. But others, like Ambassador Vera, saw potential in the gesture. After some debate, the council reluctantly agreed to send small delegations to Earth, curious to see what this inferior species might reveal. The visitors arrived on a crisp autumn morning, their ships descending gracefully onto a sprawling landing platform near New York City. Representatives from dozens of species stepped out, their forms ranging from towering crystalline beings to diminutive bioluminescent creatures. Each delegation was greeted warmly by Kale and his team, who wore traditional clothing from cultures across Earth: saris, kimonos, dashikis, and more, to symbolize unity and diversity. Over the next week, the aliens experienced Earth in ways they never expected. In bustling cities, they marveled at towering skyscrapers adorned with vertical gardens, blending technology with nature. In rural villages, they participated in harvest festivals, learning how humans celebrated community and resilience. Art galleries showcased masterpieces from every corner of the globe, while musicians performed symphonies that transcended language barriers. Even something as simple as sharing a meal became transformative. The rich flavors of human cuisine left many delegates speechless. One particularly memorable moment occurred during a storytelling session in a cozy theater. A group of elders recounted tales of humanity's struggles and triumphs, from surviving ice ages to landing on the moon. The stories were raw, emotional, and deeply relatable. Ambassador Vera found herself moved to tears, realizing that humanity's greatest strength lay not in its machines, but in its ability to connect through shared experiences. But the exchange wasn't one-sided. Humanity also benefited immensely from the visitors' knowledge. Scientists collaborated with the Nereids to develop underwater habitats capable of sustaining life in extreme conditions. Engineers learned advanced energy-efficient designs from the avian-like Centauri, whose floating cities operated entirely on renewable resources. Every interaction sparked new ideas, proving that cooperation yielded far greater results than competition. Back in the council chambers, reports from the delegations began filtering in. Many described Earth as vibrant, unpredictable, and endlessly fascinating, a stark contrast to the council's initial assessment. Some even admitted feeling inspired by humanity's determination to overcome adversity. Chancellor Zoreth, however, remained skeptical. He called an emergency session, accusing humanity of using charm to manipulate opinions rather than addressing real issues. But his arguments fell flat when Ambassador Vera presented evidence of Earth's contributions to solving galactic problems, including breakthroughs in sustainable energy and interstellar agriculture. As the session ended, Kale stood before the council via hologram, his expression calm but resolute. "We didn't invite you here to prove superiority," he said. "We invited you to understand us, to see that we're more than our flaws. If we can work together, imagine what we could achieve." His words resonated deeply, planting seeds of change within the council. For the first time, cracks appeared in their rigid hierarchy, hinting at the possibility of reform. And though challenges still lay ahead, humanity had taken another step toward earning its rightful place among the stars, not through force, but through connection. Just as humanity's reputation began to improve, a new crisis emerged, one that threatened not just Earth, but the entire galaxy. A mysterious cosmic anomaly appeared on the edge of known space, growing larger with each passing day. Scientists across species scrambled to understand it, but their efforts yielded little clarity. The anomaly pulsed with erratic energy waves, destabilizing nearby star systems and causing planets to drift out of orbit. Entire civilizations faced extinction unless action was taken quickly. The Galactic Council convened an emergency session, their usual decorum replaced by panic. Chancellor Zoreth slammed his crystalline fists against the council table, his voice booming like thunder. "This is no time for hesitation. If we do not act now, countless lives will be lost." But despite their advanced technology, none of the council's solutions worked. Shields failed to contain the anomaly, and attempts to redirect its energy only made it grow faster. Desperation spread through the chamber as ambassadors turned to one another, searching for answers. Finally, Ambassador Vera stood up, her shimmering form catching the light. "We've tried everything," she said, her voice steady but urgent. "Perhaps it's time we turn to those who think differently. Humanity has proven resourceful before. Let us give them a chance." Her suggestion was met with murmurs of dissent, but with no other options left, the council reluctantly agreed. A message was sent to Earth, requesting immediate assistance. Kel received the transmission in his command center, surrounded by holographic displays showing the rapidly expanding anomaly. His expression grew grim as he absorbed the details. "This isn't just our problem," Kale said to Alina and the rest of the Ascendants. "If we don't solve this, it could destroy everything, including us." Working around the clock, humanity assembled a team of its brightest minds. Physicists, engineers, and AI specialists collaborated to analyze the anomaly. What they discovered shocked even them. The phenomenon wasn't natural. It was a collapsing cluster of stars, its gravitational forces spiraling out of control. Traditional methods wouldn't work. Instead, humanity proposed something radical. Using experimental gravity manipulation technology developed for terraforming Mars, they devised a plan to stabilize the anomaly by creating artificial counter-gravitational fields. It was risky. Any miscalculation could accelerate the collapse. But Kale argued it was their best shot. With the Council's reluctant approval, humanity deployed a fleet of modified spacecraft equipped with massive generators. As the ships approached the anomaly, tension gripped both Earth and the Council chambers. The aftermath of the cosmic anomaly crisis rippled through the galaxy, leaving an indelible mark on every species. Humanity's role in averting catastrophe had shifted perceptions, but it also ignited a wave of reflection among marginalized groups within the Galactic Council. For years, smaller and less powerful species had been sidelined. their voices drowned out by the dominant factions who controlled resources and decision-making. Now, inspired by humanity's example, they began to push back. On Lumina Prime, the council chambers buzzed with unrest. Representatives from the aquatic Nereids, the insectoid Cytherians, and other overlooked species gathered in quiet corners, whispering strategies for reform. Ambassador Vera became a key figure in these discussions, her newfound respect for humanity fueling her determination to challenge the status quo. "If humans can inspire change, so can we," she declared during one such meeting. Her words resonated deeply, sparking a movement that demanded greater representation and equality. Meanwhile, Kale proposed the creation of a Galactic Assembly, a new governing body where all species, regardless of size or power, would have an equal voice. The idea was met with resistance from the Council's traditionalists, who viewed it as a threat to their authority. Chancellor Zoreth dismissed it outright, calling it naive idealism. But others saw merit in the plan, particularly after witnessing how collaboration had saved the galaxy from disaster. Humanity's actions continued to influence events on multiple fronts. On Earth, nations worked tirelessly to support struggling colonies across the solar system, sharing technology and resources without expecting anything in return. This selflessness stood in stark contrast to the Council's history of favoritism and exploitation. Even skeptical species began to see humanity not as inferior, but as a beacon of hope, a reminder that progress thrived when everyone contributed. As momentum built, protests erupted outside Council headquarters on Lumina Prime. Thousands of beings from dozens of species marched together, chanting slogans like "Equal Voices, Equal Futures," and "No More Silence." The demonstrations were peaceful yet unyielding, mirroring humanity's approach to conflict resolution. Kale joined the marchers virtually, his holographic image projected above the crowd. "We don't need hierarchies to survive. We need unity," he said, his voice echoing across the plaza. "Let's build a future where no one is left behind." Inside the council chambers, debates grew heated. Some members argued that reforms were necessary to prevent further instability, while others clung stubbornly to tradition. Ambassador Vera emerged as a mediator, urging compromise. "Change doesn't mean losing control," she told the council. "It means evolving to meet the needs of all, not just the few." Slowly, cracks appeared in the council's rigid structure. Faced with mounting pressure from both within and outside their ranks, some members began to reconsider their stance. A tentative agreement was reached, a trial period for the Galactic Assembly, allowing marginalized species to participate equally in decision-making processes. For Kale and humanity, this victory was bittersweet. They knew true equality wouldn't come overnight, but the seeds of change had been planted. As Kale watched footage of the protests and council debates from his command center, he felt a quiet sense of pride. Humanity had proven its worth, not through force or dominance, but through compassion and cooperation. The galaxy still faced challenges, but for the first time in centuries, there was hope. And as Kale often reminded himself, hope was the most powerful force of all. The trial period for the Galactic Assembly was set to begin, marking a pivotal moment in interstellar history. For weeks, representatives from every species, large and small, powerful and marginalized, gathered on Lumina Prime to lay the groundwork for this unprecedented experiment in equality. Humanity, once labeled inferior, now stood at the forefront of reform, earning both admiration and scrutiny. Kale knew that the road ahead wouldn't be easy, but he also understood that redemption wasn't about perfection. It was about progress. On the eve of the Assembly's inaugural session, Chancellor Zoreth called an emergency council meeting. His crystalline form shimmered with frustration as he paced before the gathered ambassadors. "This is madness," he growled, his voice reverberating through the chamber. "We're handing over power to species who can barely manage their own systems. What happens when they fail?" Ambassador Vera stepped forward, her calm demeanor a stark contrast to Zoreth's agitation. "Then we help them succeed," she replied firmly. That's what unity means, not abandoning those who struggle, but lifting them up. Humanity has shown us that strength lies in collaboration, not control. Her words struck a chord, even among some of Zoreth's staunchest allies. Over the past months, humanity's actions had proven time and again that compassion could coexist with ambition. From solving the cosmic anomaly crisis to supporting struggling colonies, Earth's representatives had demonstrated a level of humility and resolve rarely seen in galactic politics. Slowly, the Council began to soften its stance, though Zoreth remained unconvinced. When the Galactic Assembly convened for the first time, the atmosphere was electric. Delegates filled the vast amphitheater, their diverse forms creating a kaleidoscope of colors and shapes. At the center stood Kale, flanked by representatives from Earth and other newly empowered species. He addressed the assembly, his voice steady but impassioned. "This isn't just about fairness," Kale began. "It's about survival. No single species can face the challenges of the galaxy alone. Together, we're stronger, not because we agree on everything, but because our differences make us resilient. Let's build a future where every voice matters." His speech earned thunderous applause, though not everyone was convinced. Some delegates whispered concerns about losing influence, while others feared the assembly would collapse under the weight of its own ideals. But amidst the uncertainty, there was hope, a shared belief that change, however difficult, was necessary. Over the following weeks, the assembly tackled pressing issues: resource distribution, environmental preservation, and technological cooperation. Humanity played a key role, offering innovative solutions while encouraging dialogue between conflicting factions. Kale worked closely with Ambassador Vera, whose diplomatic skills complemented his vision. Together, they brokered agreements that benefited all parties, proving that compromise didn't mean sacrifice, it meant growth. Back on Earth, people watched the proceedings with pride. Billions tuned in to broadcasts of the assembly, seeing themselves represented among the stars for the first time. Schools taught lessons about the importance of unity, and artists created works inspired by humanity's journey from outcasts to leaders. The planet buzzed with optimism, a stark contrast to the despair that had followed the Council's initial verdict. Even Chancellor Zoreth couldn't deny the Assembly's early successes. Though reluctant to admit it, he began to see value in humanity's approach. During one private conversation with Kale, he admitted, "Perhaps we underestimated you, but don't expect me to trust you completely." Kale smiled faintly. "Trust takes time," he said. "And so does change." As the trial period continued, cracks in the old system began to widen, paving the way for a brighter future. Humanity had redeemed itself, not through vengeance or dominance, but through humility and perseverance. And though challenges still lay ahead, the galaxy had taken its first step toward true equality. Years passed, and the Galactic Assembly flourished beyond anyone's expectations. What had begun as an experiment in equality became a cornerstone of interstellar governance. Species that once stood divided now collaborated openly, sharing resources, knowledge, and dreams. Humanity, once dismissed as inferior, emerged as a symbol of hope, a living testament to the power of resilience and unity. Kale, now older but no less determined, stood on a balcony overlooking Lumina Prime's shimmering skyline. The twin suns cast golden light across the cityscape, reflecting off towering spires where delegates from countless worlds worked side by side. He wasn't alone. Ambassador Vera joined him, her iridescent form glowing softly in the evening light. "You've changed everything," she said, her melodic voice carrying a hint of awe. "The galaxy is different because of you." Kale shook his head, a faint smile playing on his lips. "Not me," he replied. "All of us. Humanity didn't do this alone. We did it together. That's the lesson I hope everyone takes away." Vera nodded, her gills fluttering gently. "And yet, you were the spark. Without your vision, none of this would have been possible." Kale turned his gaze toward the horizon, where ships from distant star systems drifted lazily through space. Each vessel carried stories of progress. New alliances formed, ancient grudges resolved, and innovations born from collaboration. Humanity's legacy wasn't one of conquest or domination, it was one of inspiration. By proving that even the smallest voices mattered, Earth had reshaped the galaxy's future. Back on Earth, life thrived like never before. Cities blended technology with nature, creating harmonious environments where people lived sustainably. Colonies on Mars and Europa grew into bustling hubs of culture and innovation, their success celebrated across the stars. Humanity's rapid ascent served as a reminder that potential wasn't measured by power, but by determination. The Galactic Council, though diminished in influence, found a new purpose within the assembly. Chancellor Zorith, now retired, occasionally visited Kale to discuss the evolving dynamics of galactic politics. Though still skeptical at times, he admitted that humanity's approach had brought stability where none existed before. "You made fools of us all," he once remarked during one such meeting. But perhaps that's exactly what we needed. As decades turned into centuries, humanity's story became legend, a tale told across galaxies about a species that refused to accept its fate. Schools taught lessons about Earth's journey from outcasts to peacemakers, inspiring generations to embrace diversity and cooperation. Artifacts from humanity's early days, photos of protests, recordings of speeches, and designs for groundbreaking technologies, were preserved in interstellar museums, cherished reminders of how far they'd come. Kale eventually stepped down from his role, passing the torch to younger leaders who continued his work. His final act was to pen a letter addressed not just to humans, but to every being in the galaxy. In it, he wrote, "We are not defined by our flaws or fears, but by our ability to rise above them. The stars belong to all of us, not because we conquer them, but because we share them. Let us always remember, unity isn't weakness, it's strength. Together, we can achieve anything." When Kale passed away peacefully at the age of 92, the galaxy mourned his loss but celebrated his legacy. Statues of him adorned planets across the cosmos, standing as symbols of courage and compassion. Humanity's greatest achievement wasn't dominance. It was the ability to inspire others to dream bigger, reach further, and believe in themselves. In the vast expanse of the universe, Earth's story remained a beacon of hope. It reminded everyone that no one was truly inferior, only misunderstood. And as long as stars burned bright in the night sky, humanity's legacy among the stars would endure forever.